the worst moments of our life.
Hey girl, hey, that's bad.
So speaking of like worst ever experiences.
That is the worst ever.
I don't feel so good.
And that was my worst audition ever.
How bad can it be?
And we feel that pain is best served funny. Welcome to Worst Ever Podcast. I'm your host, Christine Lakin. Ooh, bated breath. And my co-host.
Yeah. Hi, and welcome to Worst Ever Podcast. I'm your host, Alaa Khaled. Today I'll be wearing Quarantina.
You look great.
I know. I feel great.
I really enjoyed the black. I liked the Covita you had on last week, but
It's her twin. They're
Quarantina,
twins.
there's something about Quarantina that's very Sarah Pantera Sarah.
Oh, not a lot of people are going to know that reference, but yes, Pantera Sarah is a club promoter here in Los Angeles. And in the 90s, 2000s, like every celebrity went to her club. And if you could get in her club, you've made it.
Right. And
we should have her on the podcast sometime.
Yeah, there's something just very Pantera Sarah about that wig.
I should have a cigarette.
Yes.
And she talks like this. She'll say stuff like, who's a good celebrity that I could use? Justin Timberlake, let's say. She'll go, hey, I just talked to Justin. You know Justin. I was like, yeah, sorry, I know Justin. Yeah. He's getting married in France, you know. Oh, she's hilarious. I wonder if our next guest knows Pantera Sarah.
We should ask her.
Does our next guest live in California?
Yes, she does. And we are stoked to have her on the podcast today.
Yeah, very lucky.
She just wrote me. She's excited. She'll be on in a few minutes, and she's game.
Right.
To chat with us. So, okay, let's just do a quick update. We're about to enter a new phase here in California, which really feels like not that different from the first phase.
It's not.
Like, guys, new phase. But actually keep doing everything you're doing, and now you can just pick up things from Guitar Center by the curb. It's like, what?
So yeah, you could shop, floral shops, recreational stores like a Big Five or like sporting goods stores. Mm-hmm. Floral shops, shopping, curbside.
But that's all next week.
I thought it starts tomorrow. I thought it was Friday.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. Oh, thank God, because you know what I was going to say? People who own floral shops would be pissed about Mother's Day.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're delivering anyways.
Wait. Oh, you're saying for pickup. I gotcha.
Yeah, they just can't go in this, they can't. But their floral shops are delivering.
I thought they weren't allowed to be open. My bad.
I'm sure they're not supposed to be open, but I can't imagine that they're not getting a call and going, I need a flower delivered to blah, blah, blah. And they're not dropping it off like an Amazon does.
Right.
What's the difference?
Right. Did you remember Mother's Day is coming up?
I have my Lysol dream package headed towards my mother for Mother's Day. She's so excited. I went back to the Wal-Mart yesterday. I got in a fight with the lady.
Why?
At the cashier. Well, first of all, they stopped bags completely because people are, I guess, like you can bring bags, which is weird because you're bringing in diseases. But like, well, Ralph's and Vons, you can't.
Right.
But Walmart, you can. And they didn't have any bags. So I had a full cart they had no bags for me to purchase.
Right.
I'm going, I don't get it. And then they only let you have, it used to be 2 Lysols. Now they're only letting you have 1. So I was trying to sneak my second. But I have a new
sneak that.
Well, here's what I'm gonna do next time. Get ready.
Oh God.
So I'm gonna bring my own bag. I'm gonna hide the Lysol in the bag, the wipes and whatever I find. Then I'm gonna go hide it in like sporting goods behind one of them behind the blah blah blah. Then I'm gonna go check out, pay, come back in with a different hat, a different whatever, go to a different cashier. Different wig, go to a different cashier and get my second.
You're so weird.
I told you, like, I would be amazing in Amazing Race.
Are you just hoarding the Lysol?
No. Everything I've gotten, I've sent, except I have 1 wipes for me that I use in the house, and I have 2 sprays for me. The rest I've sent out.
Okay.
And I've
You're
gotten
them
like,
for the family.
yeah, I've gotten like 8 to 10 sprays. I've gotten, I just keep sending it away.
Okay.
I just don't want my parents who are older to go shopping.
This is fascinating, but our guest is here.
Okay.
Right. You guys would know her from The Sopranos.
What?
Yes, and possibly from Broadway.
No way. What do you mean possibly?
Well, if people go to Broadway,
I thought you meant possibly she was on it.
No, she was on Broadway.
Okay.
And also all kinds of other things. Jamie-Lynn Sigler, I'm admitting her right now. I feel like I have so much power with admitting people.
Admit. I know. I don't have it.
Hello.
Hi.
Here she is. I'm well. How are you?
Oh, you know.
As well as I can be.
Hiding in my bedroom with noise canceling headphones.
Love it. I need those.
That's what I need too. Now,
I got a noise canceling wig.
Is there a microphone on it? I don't know. Okay, as long as you can hear me.
That's what I need for life. I need to be able to like talk to my friends without hearing my kids screaming.
Yeah. Oh, well.
You're like, I am there in that boat.
Yep. I'm still drinking my coffee from this morning, trying to get it in.
Yep. I know that game very well. Jamie, this is Alaa.
How are you, Jamie?
I'm well.
Don't mind the wig. He's got 3 of them now.
Good for you.
I'm just going, this is my way of getting through the corona. Until this is over, there will be a wig. I have several now. I've had a sponsor, Rio Mid-City in New Orleans, who sent me wigs. I have 2
it's
bobs.
It's like a whole new thing you've started for yourself.
I had 2 bobs coming this summer for
bobs.
The wigs. Yeah, because I'm hot. I'm dying right now. I'm not going to lie.
I'm about to cut all mine off, so I get it. You need that summer hair.
Yeah.
This is Quarantina. So
yeah, this is the quarantine. She's got a twin, Covida, and a cousin, Corona.
Oh, wow. I'm really into all of this.
It's a whole thing.
The bob
it's a whole thing.
The bob is going to be called Isolationa.
Your creativity is through the roof, and I'm actually jealous right now. My creativity is like...
well, we were just talking about Alaa has a lot of family, as Middle Eastern people do, I think, but they are spread out all over, and he has taken it upon himself. It's like a personal mission to get them all care packages of Lysols and wipes and whatever he can find. But it's now becoming like a game. It's like The Amazing Race. Every morning he's up at like 5:30 and standing in line at the Walmarts. And
are you really? You're going in person.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I'm like first, like yesterday I was number 1 in line at Walmart. I run straight to aisle 24, which is cleaning. And then there's 24 and 25. Sometimes they hide some stuff in 25.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, it's a mission. It's literally like, I'm like, they know me there now. They're annoyed by me.
Yeah.
And then I go straight from there. I go straight to the pharmacy to see if there's gloves and masks.
Look at you.
Yeah.
This is great. I'm more of like the refresh. Now it's easier to get the Instacarts, but for a while I had like 7 carts open, just constantly finding a delivery time. It was scary for a couple of weeks there, being like, are we going to get food?
It was really weird for a second.
Yeah, it was very weird.
I've started doing the Ralph's pickup. So I'll find a delivery time and then I just kind of change and add on to my order.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't get everything because stuff is out of stock, but it's been pretty easy. You just drive on in and call them and then they get it ready and they put it right in your trunk.
That's nice.
Yeah, no. My friends are hilarious because they try to challenge me because they're like, I can't get this. I'm like, oh yeah, watch, I'm getting it.
Well, we were just talking about like all the, just the weird things that have happened during this time. So obviously I'm trying to keep in touch with my parents who are on the East Coast. And the other day, like we have all these different things. We have FaceTime, which every time they FaceTime me, it literally looks like this.
That's how my dad does too.
Like, oh, it's so good to see you and the kids. I'm like, mom, I can only see the top of your head, mom. Oh, sorry. I wasn't even looking at myself. And they've got on the Zoom. And my dad yesterday goes, we've just gotten a new fax machine and I've sent you a fax. Can you please let me know if you've received it? I was like, Dad, I don't have fax. I don't even know where it would come in. And he goes, oh, well, I guess we can't fax now. I was like, why are we faxing? I'm so confused about Why are we not just scanning and emailing? What are we even faxing about?
What are we faxing? Why do people even have them anymore?
We're
How did you get
guessing.
one? That's like a new challenge for you, Alaa. Go find another fax machine.
Well, I don't need to, because Christine, I swear to you, my father does the same thing. Like, we share the same accountant in Florida. So he's like, fax me your tax papers. I'm like, Dad, I don't have a fax machine.
Yeah.
He's like, and then he'll go, I faxed you the accountant's, the thing to sign. And I go, I don't have a fax machine. Where are you faxing
this to?
I go, I don't even have a home number.
It's going to the CIA, you guys. It's going straight to the government.
Oh my God. So, okay, quick update. And then we want to roll into all of our usual worst ever moments. But quick update from you. You seem like you're doing pretty well with the kids over there. How's it going?
Today, my 2-year-old has become possessed by some demon I've never met before. So thank you for giving me a reason to say I have to leave for a moment. I don't know if it was like the universe talking to me, but like homeschool today was very light. So I've just told my son he can play Xbox all day. Like, we all are in the need of just like a kind of checkout. Yeah. Because I'm a big list checker. So when I get the work for school, I'm like, we got to get this done. And my husband has a full-time job, so he's locked away in a room, and I'm handling both of them. Yeah, it's great, and I'm like anxious for it to be done on both sides. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, but it's also like, I almost feel like I don't know how I'm going to go back into the real world in a way.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, there's this one part of me, your children are 6 and 2?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. And mine are 4 and 1.5. And there's a part of me that thinks that this age is really difficult, especially the 4-year-old, because there's not really a ton of schoolwork. It's more like preschool activities. And she's so used to being like so social that it's starting to become, Mommy, I don't understand. Like, why can't I see somebody? Why can't we go to their house? Like, she misses that so much.
Yeah.
And I want that for her. And I want like another sense of normalcy for all of us. But then on the other, like the weird flip side of the coin is, as much as there have been the hardest moments, there's also been amazing moments. I've never spent this much quality time watching my kids grow up. So,
Wow, hold on a second. This is the first time I've ever heard you say anything positive about this quarantine with your children. I'm not kidding.
I say a lot of positive things, just not to you, because you bring out the worst in me.
Okay. No, seriously, this is the first time that you've said anything. I want to sit back for a second and listen to this. Go ahead, Christine.
I mean, like, we've done things that I think we've always wanted to do. And we just, because of the busyness of life, it's like you don't slow down enough to make these things happen. Like, we've had fires in our backyard. We had a fire pit and did marshmallows and roasted those. And, we're like watching more movies as a family. We made popcorn from scratch. Like, we're going biking and scootering. And it's kind of cool in many ways. But I will say it reminds me of, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
100%.
It kind of feels like that a little bit. And I don't think it's ending really anytime soon. It's just going to be different versions of this, I guess.
But yeah, I think that's where a lot of the anxiety comes from, of just like what we don't know what we're going back to, or if we go back to, it's just, what is normal. If his school is telling me we don't know what September will look like. I don't know what to do with my nanny because I'm paying her and she's not coming, but there's no real filming, right? Till at least the fall, they're saying possibly. So and that's if I get a job. So it's like, do I just pay someone and not come? Because what are we all going to sit here and just stare at each other? Because I'm not going anywhere. So it's just like all of those things. And on top of it, then you start to like check yourself, because you're like, wait a minute, but I have food. I'm financially stable. I am okay. Everyone I know and love is not sick. Like, it's just that back and forth of like
champagne problems.
Yes.
For sure. I mean, and also I feel like don't discredit your own feelings. because they're real. The uncertainty is real for all of us. And her preschool decided that they're going to reopen in a month. And I'm sort of like, I don't know. That feels a little weird to me. But yet we went to the pediatrician this morning for her yearly checkup. And he's like, we can't just all keep staring at each other.
No, we have to start. We have to start going back out there.
I mean,
so wait a minute. Are you going to send Georgia to preschool?
I haven't decided. There's a part of me that's like, I understand what the pediatrician's getting at. And I do want that for her. The other side of it is though, and we were probably, let's be honest, all, the coronavirus was around and we were living normally for months. Like nobody had a second thought about it.
We got it.
Right. And you and I had it. So
you had it too? Oh, wow.
He gave it to me.
We were podcasting and then that night I got sick. I flew back from
5 days later.
I was in New York for a wedding on March. I was in Portland on a film for 2 weeks and then flew straight to New York on March 6th, came back on March 9th, podcasted with her on March 10th, and got sick March 10th that night.
Wow. And we both had like the same symptoms, mild versions of it, but yeah. It was so early on, I couldn't even get a test.
We couldn't get a test at first.
There were no tests.
Then my roommate got it.
You gave it to your roommate too.
I gave it to my roommate. So after his 2 weeks of quarantine, I got retested and was tested negative. And now I'm just trying to get the antibodies test.
That's what was my question. Did you get it, Christine? The antibodies?
No, but I had a telehealth with my doctor yesterday and she ordered it for me for now.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you have to, it's so many days after if you thought you had it, it's done. It's like 23 days after that, the antibodies would form. So
got it.
It's definitely been 23 days. I just it doesn't really make a difference at this point in time, but I kind of like to know.
Yeah. I was very sick in December. It was very quick though. It was like 3 or 4 days.
That's how mine was.
Massive body chills.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I just remember I didn't feel like eating. I don't know if I lost my sense of taste, but I just didn't feel like eating. Just really, really bad body chills. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Maybe I did have it.
Yeah, I think it presents very differently.
That's what I think is what's confusing. Yeah. My mom, they think had it, and she lives in New York, and she just had a very bad sore throat, no temperature, no cough, but her blood pressure was like 210.
Ooh.
So she was put on bed rest for 5 days. So she's going to take the antibody test as well.
Yeah.
Well, my roommate had just a slight fever for like a day, no symptoms whatsoever. The only reason he got tested was because I made him come. I was like, just go because I'm getting one. You might as well get one just to make sure. And sure enough, because he was feeling fine. Sure enough, like, you're positive.
Wow.
So
crazy.
he's totally asymptomatic.
Well, I'll tell you, Jack's supposed to start preschool in July.
Yeah.
And if it's open, he's going.
Girl, I feel you though. I mean,
see ya.
Yeah. My other thing is though, like, I wonder, look, I'm not particularly worried about her. And that's what the pediatrician said too. He's like, that doesn't feel like a huge risk. Is it a risk that she might carry something and bring it home to you? I mean,
but
maybe.
That's always a risk.
That's what he said too. And he's
that's just life. I mean, my kids haven't been sick this whole quarantine because they're not in school, but normally one of them's always got some kind of runny nose situation bringing home. I mean,
well, my thing is this, it's not even just the illnesses, it's what the children are going to like. Okay, preschool might be different, but like, I'm curious to say, like, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, like the way they have to isolate, how different it's going to be. And do I want if I had kids, would I want them to be a part of that, like, weird,
it's a weird culture,
like, thing?
No. Well, I think because my son is in kindergarten, he only had one moment when they said that they're officially not going back for the rest of the year. He had he was really sad. Like, he was like, what my teachers, I want to be in kindergarten again. Like, this is hard. But with that being said, he's young enough that he's like, you know, can go with the flow, where when they go back in the fall, if it's like half the class, what if they have to alternate, if they have to keep some distance in the playground, which I don't know how you ask kids to do that. I mean, they'll go with it, but it's the older kids, maybe like the more third, fourth, fifth graders that like are well into a routine that are like, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I mean, the other thing is, like, I also, now being a full-time stay-at-home mom, I have so much respect for women who choose this.
Yes.
And even women who don't necessarily choose it, but have, this is now what their role in their household is. It is so hard. And between all of the picking up of 30-pound children that I've been doing over the last, because they're just clinging to me like amoebas, I have now bruised or somehow stretched the pectoral muscles.
Oh, Jesus.
In my chest so badly that I mean, I had to go into the doctor. I thought I was having chest pains. Now that's how crazy this has all made me. Because I'm like, I'm having chest
Your
pains.
arms look great though.
Thank you. I mean, my guns are never going to look
Look
better
at you,
than
girl.
they look right
Yeah.
now. Because I'm literally picking up a 30-pound kid. But I went in, I was like, I'm having chest pains. And I don't know what's going on. I thought in my crazy brain, I was like, maybe I had corona. Maybe like a month and a half later, it can still be in your chest. Like I was,
Right.
And then she's like looking at me and she's talking to me and she's like, have you been picking up a lot of heavy weights lately? I was like, no. I've been doing yoga and just, you know, picking up children. Oh my gosh. I pick up like a 30-pound kettlebell at least 25 to 30 times a day.
Right. Oh. That'll do it to you.
Get back in school.
I know.
All right. Well, let's move on to you because you're the most interesting thing in the room. I'll
take it.
I want to go back and start a little bit about how you got into the business, how old you were, what were the true beginnings? You were in New York and was it theater?
Yeah. So I grew up on Long Island and, I mean, no one around me. I had two older brothers who were heavily into sports. Although my oldest brother, I want to say for like Hanukkah one year, got a camera with like where we used to have to carry around a box that had the video cassette in it with the camera. So like my other brother was the video guy and I was always the star of his movies. I was like 3 or 4 years old. So we used to love to play pretend and make movies and whatnot. But around the age of 8 or 9, I joined a musical theater class and loved it. And, you know, had one teacher say like, you have kind of an ear for music. She's on key. And so I started singing lessons. And from then just started doing community theater on Long Island. And that was like my life. Like anytime there was a role for a kid, I was there. It was my home away from home. And my mom was just trying to, you know, kind of figure out how to support this with having no access to like anyone that knew anything about the business, but kind of things just happen little bits here and there. I kind of through word of mouth got this agent. And then I started doing I did summer stock when I was 12 years old. And then I did a national tour when I was 13. And
you were driving, your mom or dad was like driving you in?
Just my mom.
For all
my brothers were 5 and 8 years older. So by the time I was really getting into it, they were teenagers. So it was easier for my mom. And then my grandmother would take me when my mom couldn't. Like my mom would, when I was on the national tour, my mom would stay with me for like 3 weeks. And then my grandmother would come watch me for like 3 weeks and kind of like that.
That's wild to me. I always think about when I go see like Frozen, okay? To see Frozen at the Pantages, and there's these kids on stage, and I'm like, because I have so many Broadway friends who talk about, you know, being on tour and doing the national tour of this or that, and what a grind it is, but it's also so fun. But when you're a kid, what is that?
Oh, it was the greatest thing in the world because
really
I loved it. I was a die-hard theater kid.
What show was it?
It was the musical version of It's a Wonderful Life. It was an original show.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a tutor and we finished my work within like a month that my school had sent because it was like a 4-month tour. So I didn't really have much work other than learning my Haftorah from my bat mitzvah that I would send my recordings back to my Cantor for. And it was the greatest thing in the world because, you know, you hanging out with the adults and you would go to the after parties in the diner after the show and you were living in hotels. And it was actually a bus and truck tour though. There was no airplane. So this was like a real grind.
Wow.
But it was the greatest thing in the world. And so then when I was around like 15, 16, there weren't many like teenage roles in musical theater at the time. And so I decided that summer I was going to try and be like a normal kid, like all my friends, and go to sleepaway camp because I'd never done it and I wanted to try it. And prior to me leaving, I got a call from my agent at the time that said there was this show called Sopranos. They're looking for a 16-year-old Italian looking girl. Do you want to go in? And I figured I could pass for Italian, and Sopranos, it must be musical. So
Amazing.
I went, and I was like, and I get to go in the city and probably do a little shopping with my mom, whatever. And it was just, you know, I didn't think much of it because I would have had auditioned a little bit here and there for TV or film and nothing ever bit. So I just didn't think I was like right for it. But I had a very strong New York accent at the time and, you know, was very well versed in like having a snotty conversation with my mother, which was what the scene was. So I got called back and called back and called back. And a couple of weeks, I think it was like a 3-week or 1-month process. And I got the part. So I didn't go to sleepaway camp and we shot the pilot that summer.
Wow.
Do you remember, are there any other famous kids or famous actors that might have gone up for that role?
It was between myself and do you know Christy Carlson Romano?
Hilarious.
It
Yes.
was between me and her.
No
and her and I used to
way.
audition all the time with musical theater.
Oh,
she
yeah, because she sings as
usually
well.
would get it. She was always usually the one that got it. So yeah, it was between Christy and I.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And do you test with who did you test with?
No, Jim wasn't cast yet. An actor named John Ventimiglia, who played Artie Bucco on the show, read Tony with me.
Wow. Oh, cool.
Yeah. But it was at the HBO offices in New York City. And again, I think because I was so young that like I almost didn't allow myself to get too nervous because it was just like, what the fuck is this? And I'm probably not going to get it, you know, as opposed to now when I'm like having to say my affirmations and like a nervous wreck before I go in anywhere.
Right.
Well, and also you were like, and if I don't get it, I mean,
I'm going to camp.
Guys.
By the way, that was the real goal there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's amazing. And that whole experience, I mean, you guys shot mostly on location, or you had some stages?
We had a stage at a place called Silver Cup Studios in Queens. And that was where like the interior of the house was. And then depending on the season, like in season 3, my character was in college. So my dorm room was on that stage. The back room with a bada bing was there, Melfi's office, but then everything else was location, which was great. I mean, filming all around, you know, New York City and New Jersey, and that's where I'm from. So it was great.
And it felt very authentic, I'm sure, to you.
Yes.
My husband had never seen The Sopranos, and I was a big fan. So we started watching it, like, I think we were engaged, and I think we got through like episode 2 or 3, and we were drinking a little bit. And he said that like we were watching like 2 or 3 episodes in a row, and by the end of the second or beginning of the third, I had adopted some kind of like Edie Falco personality. And he was like, I can't watch this show with you. You're becoming like a crazy person. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was literally like, come here. You know, when she has that moment with like the nails. And he was like, I can't, this show is turning you into someone I don't know.
Oh my God, I love it
so much. I was like embodying it.
Well, she's amazing.
Amazing. It must have just been, I mean, and also to be so young and surrounded by such incredible talents.
Yeah.
Must have been such an amazing, just watching them work and, you know, growing up with them and watching their craft. Like what an incredible, like kind of breeding ground for you.
For sure. And you know, what's interesting is I started watching it during quarantine for the first time ever.
Oh, you're kidding.
I'm in the middle of the second season because like I haven't watched it in probably 3 weeks because, you know, I'm exhausted. But I'm actually glad that I waited this long because I mean, I'm sure you know and you feel like when you watch yourself, you're so critical and it's too much. So there's been enough time. I mean, it's 20 something years, But now it's almost like, I get it. I get what this show means to people because I can sit and really watch as an audience. And I knew everyone was amazing and I knew the writing was amazing, but like watching, I'm like, the show is so funny.
Yes.
And everyone down to like the people that just have one line are so fucking good that it's almost given me this, like, my mojo back a little bit of like, this is cool. I got to be part of something like really awesome, because Sopranos is always the lead into any conversation I have. And I've never been resentful of that, but it's almost like you start to feel like, am I anything besides this?
Sure.
And so now watching it and really appreciating and getting it, I'm just like, but I get it. Yeah, this is, if I don't do anything else for the rest of my life, this was really cool.
Well, that's my question. My next question for you is like, how hard has it been to transition? Like, are you typecast at this point? I mean, were you for a while, or?
I don't know if I'm typecast, but I think even still today, there's just like a bit of like, oh, well, Jamie's very specific. She's this. And, you know, there's always been, you know, that huge part of me that's like really wanted to fight back against that and been really frustrated. And I've quit acting a bunch of times, especially since I've had kids. Like I've taken a year off here, year off there, but I feel like now it's almost at this place where I'm like, I'm confident in what I can do, and I just know the right thing will find me, like it did even when I was 16. You know, it's I mean, Christine, I'm sure you can like understand this. When you have get something when you're young and you have success when you're young, like actors have struggles up and down, but when you're young, it's almost more difficult later because you feel like you're supposed to like stay in this certain level. And if you don't, you're some type of failure, and you're not. And I think that's what I'm trying to say is like, no, I won. It just happened to be at a young age, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen again. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But like, that's just life, no matter what your career, anything. And I think that just, you know, it's a process to kind of learn how to deal with that. So I'm just hanging in and making sure I stay sharp and staying in class and doing what I can so I'm ready when the next shot comes, you know?
I mean, that's the greatest advice to anyone out there, just who either wants to do this, who wants to continue doing this. Yeah, I think it's like, it can become this like measure up thing of, well, you did this one thing then, and that was really great, but like, you know, you never achieved that again. And let's be clear, getting anything on the air is hard enough. Getting a show that is like, you know, iconic, that people remember, that it becomes a zeitgeist of it or a touchstone of that time in television history is lightning in a bottle.
100%.
So, you know, it is amazing if you can ever experience it once. And very few people ever experience it on a multiple levels. So it's like, well, every wave you ride is its own thing.
I think also actors are, I could be wrong, might be in a better place now because there's so many platforms to work in, and including, you know, and a lot of people are creating their own content. And so I just feel like it's a great time for people who are established, who have had a career, to do multiple type of platforms, whether it be Quibi or Netflix or Amazon or whatever it is. And even I see a lot of actors going into the reality world too, as well. You know, I don't know. I just think the industry is so different.
It is. There's not as much stigma anymore.
Right. I will say though that also a lot that has come into play with like sort of my relationship with this business has been my journey with living with MS, because I think that even when I talk about like how I was like such a diehard theater kid, like for me now, because of certain physical limitations that I have because of this disease, like, and I can't dance and stuff, it's almost like I feel like that was me and then I'm a different person now. And that's been a big kind of struggle, and sort of I've limited myself. Like I'll read a script and be like, oh, I couldn't do that. Or I can't, you know, I'll just, you know, no one would want me for that because I can't run, or I can't do this or that. And I've, you know, had to kind of talk myself in and out of the fact that, you know, acting isn't about it. Acting is emoting and telling a story, and trying to be truthful with it. It's not necessarily how you walk and move. And I know I've lost out on certain things because of it. And I know that people have written me off because of it. And then I know a lot of other people that haven't cared and have worked it in or worked around it. And so I think I've had enough experience with that I'm just also trying to truly accept all the parts of me and still feel like I'm worthy of opportunity, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to touch on that a little more if you're okay with that.
Of course.
So what was the first indicator to you that something was amiss, or were you not aware? And
so when I was 19 years old, so I was between the second and the third season, I had filmed this like movie that nobody will ever see in like the wooded areas of New Jersey. And everyone was like saying to be wary of ticks, things like that. And a couple weeks after we wrapped the movie, I started to feeling like this numbness, tingling in both my legs. And over the course of like a week, it was like rising up to my hips and I was having trouble moving. So I went to the ER and I ended up being in the hospital for like 2 weeks. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. And they ruled out MS because I did a spinal tap, MRIs, didn't see any lesions. So they diagnosed me with Lyme's disease. They gave me a bunch of steroids, antibiotics, and it seemed to be fine. And then about a year and a half after that, I started feeling the same thing again. And I went to the hospital thinking, oh, I'm just going to get some antibiotics and it'll be fine. And did the spinal tap and MRI just to make sure. And then I was obviously shocked when the neurologist walked in and said, I have to tell you, you have multiple sclerosis.
wow.
And I was 20. And
Wow.
I was very fortunate to be diagnosed by a doctor that said to me, you know, after he said those words, he said, but there's no reason to think that you can't live a very long, very healthy life. You can still act. He's like, if you were a professional dancer, I might say at a certain point we have to rethink things, but like we can be positive here. We can stay on top of it. We can be positive, which was helpful. But also at the same time, I was advised by other people to keep it a secret. Don't tell anyone. And I understand that they were
at that time. It's very different. Yeah.
Yeah. And I understand people were just trying to protect me, but it ended up creating this space and this relationship with the MS that was really unhealthy for the next 10 years. And so as symptoms got worse, like during certain times of my life, you know, I went through a divorce a couple of years later, a lot of ups and downs, the disease started to manifest. And keeping it a secret and hiding it and not telling people was like my own struggle. And it made it 10 times harder.
Oh, sure.
And I kind of rebelled against, I was supposed to give myself these like really painful injections every week. And I just didn't want to do it. And I just wasn't a good patient. But during all like those tumultuous 10 years of like keeping it a secret, and like, so I would slowly open my circle and tell certain friends, things like that. It led me down a spiritual path that I don't think I would have found without it. So now being 38, I'll be 39 next week. I am at this like whole other place with MS in the way that it's always was like what it's taken away from me, what it's done to me. And now it's almost like what it's given me. And it's given me a lot. Do I still wish it would go away? Of course.
Sure.
Do I still have my days where I just like cry and I'm frustrated? Absolutely. But I had a director actually tell me once, he's like, Jamie, everybody has something and this is your thing. Right. You know, it's not taking away your value of like the person that you are. It's just your thing in this life that you're, you know, have to deal with. And
well, that's what I was going to say as well. It doesn't define you. It's just,
right.
You know, it's something that you live with.
Yeah.
You know,
and it took a long time for me to, you know, and I think that asking for help for anyone in general is really hard, but it was like a true lesson in that. And I think that now, like, even when I step on a set and I'll say to the director, anyone like, hey, is it easier? Can I do this? It's easier for me. And, you know, everyone is so willing to help. And it's almost like a gift that you give others. People are so happy to help, and they feel good about themselves, and it's just sort of like this, give and return, and it's taught me a lot about people and given me faith in people, and really I've seen a beautiful side of many people because of it too.
Wow.
I'm just curious because I don't really know much about MS. Is there different types of MS? Okay.
There's different types. But you know what? It's almost like Corona. It like affects everybody differently.
Right.
It's this weird thing. There's like certain symptoms that are like common denominators amongst it, but everybody's different. But for me, I'm very fortunate. It doesn't affect me cognitively at all. I don't have fatigue, nothing in my upper body. It's all my lower body. So a lot of it began with like issues with my bladder, which, as a young person is like difficult to deal with.
Sure,
and you feel like an old lady, when you're young. And then my legs. So, it's very poetic, but the very last time I was ever able to run was the very last scene I shot for Sopranos, where I'm running into the finale. Like probably a week or two later, I remember wanting to run to go hail a cab in New York City and like couldn't run.
My gosh. Wow.
So that was when I was 26. So like 13 years of not being able to run, some coordination, balance, like high heels I can't really do. But like, those are the things like you make do, you figure out. I think my kids have given me a lot of confidence, because I just see how much physically I do with them and still can do. And that they still look at me as an awesome mom, and like it doesn't matter to them that I can't run with them at the park. They're so happy if I just sit on the floor and play with them. So it's all those things have helped me realize and shift my focus more on what I can do as opposed to what I can't.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's so brave of you to be so open about it, because it's something that affects people of all kinds, and doesn't really matter your age. It's like not necessarily that thing that, you wait till you're 60 or 70 to be diagnosed with.
Right.
And like you said, everybody's got something that they've got to work through.
Yeah.
So now in terms of like your treatment and stuff, do you, what does that look like for you? Are you on a constant,
now
you're a better patient than you were?
I'm a much better patient. I also have found like the right doctor only a couple of years ago when I came public about it. A friend put me in touch with this doctor that just changed my life. And, so I am on medication. I stay on top of my fitness, which I never used to do. And I just really have to honor, and I truly have believed there is like a whole mind body connection, because when I'm feeling good, when I'm thinking positively, my body reacts. So when I'm stressed, when I'm a lot of things, which by the way, we're human, we go through it, my body reacts. Like I'm a very sensitive being, and it's like almost like my body really talks to me of like where I'm at. And so I've picked up a lot of things along the way, like meditation and things like that helped me get through those times for sure.
Again, forgive me because I don't know a lot about MS. Is it a genetic thing, or is it no?
I think it can be. I don't carry the genetic form of it. From what we've kind of tried to figure out, it seems that possibly I had some sort of dormant MS gene in there, and the Lyme's disease is what woke it up.
Got it.
Okay.
So the Lyme's disease did exist. You weren't misdiagnosed.
I was positive for Lyme disease. If you test me now, I still am. But I've gone back and forth of like trying to treat the Lymes and everything, because I think it's a controversial thing, but a lot of people talk about that, and people are kind and mean well, but people write me on social media like, you have Lymes, just don't mistake it. But to each their own with their journey of this. But I've done my due diligence, and that's what I believe is the case with me.
Yeah. Lyme's disease is super weird,
Another weird one.
Weird one. again, like it can affect people in so many different ways. It can come
Mhm.
and go, you know. Yeah, I've had friends that have dealt with that. And it's like, oh, God, from the smallest thing, the tiniest like tick, you know.
Oh, I know.
Just as like, and so I imagine you never want to watch that movie ever again that you filmed in the woods.
I don't think I've actually ever seen it, but you know who's cool that was in it was Charlie Day. I remember I was like, oh, you're gonna be a star one day.
That's great.
What's the movie called?
Maybe it's called Campfire Stories, something like that. Something along those lines. Oh, you know who else is in it? Do you know Abigail Spencer? She's in it.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. All the East Coast kids.
That is so funny.
So weird.
Did they have insurance? Is there a lawsuit ready to happen here?
No, it's not their fault. My God.
I mean, that's the
Can
first
you
place I
imagine?
was like,
I'm like,
sue them.
now I'm just going to search for the producers of Campfire Stories or whatever it's called.
I'm sure Campfire Stories will pony up. We are going to take a little break here, but don't worry. We will be back next week with part 2 with Jamie-Lynn Sigler. What a sweetheart. Have a great week, guys.